Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your fucking clout. It be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. 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 Cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my fucking mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. That's how you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase it? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up shit, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
Welcome into the BettingPros March Madness special. It is the best time of year. Thursday, the games are tipping off in a little bit more than an hour, and we have 16 games here at BettingPros to take you through. I'm your host, Mike Randle. Follow me on Twitter at RandleRand. And folks, today you could get prizes in our free bracket contest still. You can reign supreme by picking NCAA college basketball bracket here at BettingPros. Compete for a chance to win some incredible prizes, including signed memorabilia from basketball legends, courtesy of FanDuel and Pristine Auctions. The top 20 finishers in our free contest walk away with either autographed prizes, FanDuel Sportsbook credits. So head over to bettingpros.com/March in the next hour before it ends at noon today and fill your bracket out for a chance to win. We are going to go through each one of these games. I'll be with you each of the next 4 days here at 11 o'clock. So make sure you tune, subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel. And as the Joker would say, here we go. Game 1 starts at 12:15 today. Michigan -1, number 11 Michigan, but the favorite over number 6 Colorado State. I am taking the Rams. I have been on the Rams all year long. Now, this line opened at 3, favoring the big school, the Big Ten, recency bias from last year, Michigan. However, Michigan point guard Devontae Jones is out with a concussion. That's 11 points, 4.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists away from the Wolverines. Wolverines only 13 and 18 against the spread this year. I have not been impressed with Michigan all year long. Juwan Howard, amazing job last year, but they lost a lot from that team, and there have been some bumps in the roads. Of course, he just came back from suspension, and I remember on Twitter I was saying, I'm down on Michigan. I'm going to fade them. I think they're going to hit some bumps. That opening game against Buffalo, they were rolling. Remember that game? 51-36 at the half, and you know what? Since that point, Buffalo covered in that game. They've been up and down. This opened at Michigan -2.5, -3. I think it's biased. I love Colorado State. David Roddy inside, the Mountain West Player of the Year. People in public right now are fading the Mountain West because of Wyoming's performance the other night, which was definitely a result of Graham Ike getting 2 fouls with about 5 minutes left against Trace Jackson Davis. The Mountain West is good. San Diego State, Boise State, spoiler alert coming up. All these teams are quality. Colorado State should have been in the tournament last year. They had a terrible loss to Nevada on the road, last game of the regular season. That's why they didn't make it. They have chemistry. They have three-point shooting. They have a great coach in Nico Medved, and I think they're going to take advantage of a Michigan team that is now limited without Devontae Jones in the lineup. So our first game here, I love the Rams. I've loved them all year. Give me Colorado State +1 or take them on the money line. That's fine against Michigan to move on as the higher seed, yet they are the underdog. Game 2, 12:40 p.m. This game has a lot of attention. Number 4, Providence -2 versus number 13, South Dakota State. Now listen up, folks. There has never been a 4 seed since the expansion of the tournament in 1985 that has been this low of a favorite. There's only been 2 other times where the 4 seed was 2.5-point favorites, and in each of those situations, they lost the game. I am taking South Dakota State here. I'm taking the 2 points. Providence, this line keeps bouncing up and down, has had a tremendous year. I've loved Providence. I made a lot of money on Providence, but my issue here moving forward is that Providence center inside Nate Watson is not your typical big. The teams that survive these early round upsets have quality post players usually. Call it the North Carolina Tyler Hansborough corollary. They usually didn't get upset. Watson, despite his size and his presence, only 5.5 rebounds per game. South Dakota State, number 1 offense, up and down the floor, shooting threes, high scoring attack. That is not what Providence wants. And if they get into foul trouble, Watson gets in foul trouble, Ed Croswell comes in. I do not trust him as well. Love what Providence has done. Love their team, the guard play. Justin Minaya is a defensive player. I don't like this matchup. I will take South Dakota State +2. It's becoming a very chalky upset here, but sometimes the public is right. Providence, number 1 in the luck metric. Amazing season. This is a bad matchup, and the tournament is always about matchups here. So the Jackrabbits to run up and down the floor and win the game outright as a 2-point underdog against Providence. Make sure, folks, to go into the chat. If you have any questions, put them in there. I will go back and forth and answer them as we go through these games. Next up, game number 3. This is one of my flag plant games. The public loves Memphis. They love Penny Hardaway. There's a rumor Imani Bates may play in this game. 145 today. Number 8, Memphis, favored by 3 over Boise State. We are fading the public. 65% of the bets per Patrick Everson, with the info from PointsBet USA, is on the Tigers. We are going the other direction. Boise State is athletic. They won the Mountain West. They won the Mountain West tournament. They are a tough, tough team. And they've played teams like this all season. They've played San Diego State, who has a tremendous, tremendous defense. They're not going to shy away from pressure against Memphis. And Memphis, one of the highest turnover rates in the entire country. Going against this team, Leon Rice from Boise State, they are great on the defensive boards. They limit you to one and done. They're not going to turn the ball over. They struggle from the free throw line, Boise State, but so does Memphis. Love Boise State in this game. You can take them on a money line, and I will take the 3 points. I got it at 3.5, actually. The public is all over Memphis. No way. They've been inconsistent. They beat Houston twice. Those were the only real quality wins they were able to have. Too much turmoil in and out here. Love the cohesion of a Boise State Bronco team that I think is going to beat them outright. What do you expect to be the chalkiest bracket this year? I will say this. Chalkiest bracket to me, really quick, will be the South. I think Arizona, Tennessee, and Villanova are clearly better than all of the teams in there. So I think absolutely that's going to be the chalkiest bracket. We'll get to Houston, Illinois, those sort of teams over the next couple of days. But I like Arizona going through. I like Tennessee. And I like Villanova. So the South, to me, is the chalkiest bracket there. Question from PA in the chat. Moving on, game number 4, Baylor -20.5 versus Norfolk State. Look, folks, ever since UMBC pulled that incredible upset over Virginia, and then Virginia comes back and wins the national title the next year, I think these spreads on the first games, the number 1 seeds, are way too low. Baylor's zone is going to cause Norfolk State fits. Even without Cryer, they have James Akinjo. They have Flagler, who doesn't miss from 3 and is now healthy. Mayer, Flo Thamba inside. Norfolk State's only really major non-conference game against the top team, if you want to call them that, was Xavier. They lost by 40. Norfolk State 17-9-1 against the spread this year, which is why I think they're getting a little bit of money, and this number hasn't creeped up to where it should be. I make Baylor a 25-26 point favorite in this game. I am going with the Bears to cover. You will see this as a theme. I think the number one seeds are not given enough credit, and I think they're going to win comfortably, especially the Bears, who are looking to defend their national title. Spartans are 24-6 this year for Norfolk State, but really no quality wins. Great season, no problem. I'm laying the points here with the Baylor Bears, not getting upset, not going to have the second 16 seed beat a one, not here with the Bears. Game 5, 2:45 p.m., Tennessee minus 18 versus Longwood. Love what Longwood has done this year. They've been tremendous, have really played well in their conference. Just a fantastic job by Griff Aldrich and what he's done in the Big South. They have rattled off a million wins. They are 26-6. Only game they lost was on the road, North Carolina A&T. So ever since being 7-5, they have gotten to 26-6, folks. So that means 19-1. Problem is, they really haven't played a lot of great teams. They opened against Iowa. They lost by 33 on the road. Old Dominion, they lost. They even lost to Georgetown, which concerns me. They gave up 91 points to Georgetown, who has one win this year. Georgetown, no wins in conference, and really one major win to talk about that was over anyone of significance, and that was Syracuse. So I like Tennessee. They're one of the hottest teams. You could say Tennessee is the hottest team coming into this tournament, maybe next to Arizona, but Arizona has the injury, of course, to Krisa. So I'm taking Tennessee. I'm not concerned about the point spread here. I like Longwood. Defense works in the early rounds. Longwood will never see any sort of pressure like this. And if Tennessee gets a couple shots in from three, good night. This game's going to be a 30-point blowout. So Longwood, the 14 seed, much respect, great season. I am going with Tennessee and laying the points here in game number 5. Do you like any over-unders for these? Good question. We will get to some of these over-unders. The Providence, South Dakota State game, I think you absolutely can hit the over. South Dakota State, and Allie McCann is my partner here on some of the Betting Pros live streams. She likes the over for South Dakota State. I think it's about 73, 74 points for a team total. I don't think Providence is going to slow them down. I think they're going to get up and down the floor in them, absolutely. And the Michigan-Colorado State game, I also would tick to an under. That's an early game. It's an early tip-off. Colorado State had some travel issues. You could see Nico Medved talking about they didn't know when they were going to travel. So that early game, I always like the under. Colorado State's going to shoot from 3. Michigan not exactly going to want to run up and down the court. So that's another one there that I would look to the under. Good question. Moving on, game 6, Iowa minus 10.5 versus number 12 Richmond. I love what the Richmond Spiders have done this year. I had a chance to interview Jacob Gilliard, starting point guard there for the Spiders, as the all-time NCAA steals leader record. Just an outstanding player. But keep in mind that this Richmond team was pretty much done against Dayton until Malachi Smith in the semifinals of the A-10 tournament hurt his ankle, went out of the game. They overcame a double-digit deficit to come back and beat that Dayton team. They were getting their doors blown off early. And then against Davidson in the A-10 championship, they were also losing and needed a great comeback late in that game as well. Great job here by Richmond and Chris Mooney. This group came back to make the NCAA tournament, and they did. Kudos to them. I think Iowa runs them off the court here. I'm laying the 10.5 points with the Hawkeyes, who are a really popular pick if you look around to actually make the Final Four here. So I am going to end up laying the points with Iowa in game 6. I don't think this is the 5-12 upset. We're always looking at it. Love what Richmond has done, but they don't have anybody inside that can really balance off Iowa. And I think Chris Murray, Keegan Murray, and the crew, Jordan Bohannon from 3, gets hot. McCaffrey has his team going here, Iowa. They're a very popular team to beat Kansas and actually make the Final Four. Game 7, Gonzaga Bulldogs, minus 23 over number 16, Georgia State. This is at 4:15 today, Game 7. Again, these spreads are too low. Gonzaga, they don't run the score up, so if you want to hit an overall under in this game, I don't mind it. Mark Few is not someone who's going to run the score up and score a million points against inferior opponents. He calls the Dogs off a lot in the WCC, which is why their games tend to skew to the under in conference, even though they're one of the highest scoring teams in the country. Remember the 33-point spread against Pepperdine this year? They actually didn't even come close to covering that game, but of course they win. Gonzaga is going to win here. I'm going to lay the 23 points. I think what you have is Drew Timme inside is such a strong post presence. It's going to be impossible to stop him. And Chet Holmgren, the dynamic freshman, has been banging threes, getting blocks. Georgia State can't score inside. They're going to have to hit it from 3, and they're not going to do it well enough here to keep this game close. I don't like catching these points if I don't think the team has a legitimate chance to win. If Gonzaga wins by 21 and I lose the game and I don't cover, that's fine. I have no problem with it. But again, I think the number one seeds are way too low here, laying the points with the Zags against Georgia State. Game 8, 4:30 p.m. North Carolina. It's now up to -3.5 versus Marquette. I am going to take Marquette in this game. The money is flowing in on North Carolina, and quite frankly, it worries me. I understand that they've been hot, but I think a couple teams have really been overrated because of a couple late season wins. For example, there is no reason that St. Mary should be a number 5 seed. They have 4 wins this year, quad one. 4 quad one wins, all in the WCC. So they haven't beaten anyone of quality outside the conference. Yet they get a 5 seed. Why? Because they beat Gonzaga. North Carolina has been hot. They beat Duke 94-81 in a nationally televised game on Coach K's last game at home, and I think they've gotten way too much press from that. They got blown out by Virginia Tech, lost by 15. This is a team that has been up and down all year, and I like what Shaka's doing with Marquette, and I love the fact that the public is pounding North Carolina to get this game up to 3.5. I think this is a coin flip. I love the Golden Eagles. I think they can easily win the game. So if you're going to give me 3.5 points at Marquette, I will gladly take it. I understand that they have to be able to score, and they are a team that definitely can struggle to score Marquette. But against North Carolina, if they can control the pace, I think the Golden Eagles can earn the upset, and they're getting the 3.5 points here, no problem. Defensively, they lock down. They're going to have to rebound and limit Armando Bacot inside. If this was a pick'em game, I'd take North Carolina, but I'm taking Marquette with the 3.5 points. Maybe they get hot from 3. Justin Lewis makes some shots, Darryl Morsell, and I'll gladly take those points in what I think is a coin flip game. Game 9, number 5, Connecticut -6.5 versus number 12, New Mexico State. Look, I have not liked Connecticut all year long, and I think this is a very, very shaky game for the Huskies. New Mexico State loves to rebound. The Huskies need a big game from Adama Sanogo, but inside, I think what they have to worry about here is they're going to be able to have to keep Sanogo out of foul trouble. UConn has been an interesting group. They always play hard for Danny Hurley, but they've had some interesting games. Seton Hall away lost in overtime. Providence, Michigan State, teams that can get physical a little bit with them, they have trouble. They are not great on offense, and they don't stop the 3. New Mexico State with Chris Jans is a veteran team, this Aggies team. They lock down from 3. They defend inside, and they're great on the offensive glass. I think this is a bad matchup here for UConn. I think they don't want a team that can rebound and battle with them. So I'm going to actually take New Mexico State getting 6.5 against UConn. UConn, another team that people like who can possibly win a couple rounds here, especially in that West region where they're playing into Arkansas, Vermont, and you could, if you get an upset with Vermont, have a Connecticut-Vermont regional matchup here up in Buffalo. Could be real interesting, but I'm taking New Mexico State with the points. If UConn squeaks by, I have no problem with it, but I'll tell you right now, I think that New Mexico State will keep this game extremely close. I think it's a 1-point possession. I have not been impressed with UConn all year. In the non-conference for UConn, they were okay, not great. They were beating up on some little teams. They beat VCU without Ace Baldwin in one of their earlier games. Maryland Eastern Shore kept it close at home. If you can rebound with the Huskies, their offense isn't good enough to pull away. I'll take 6.5 here with New Mexico State and the Aggies. Game 10, Kentucky -18 versus number 15, St. Peter's. St. Peter's, the Peacocks, excellent job, but they are outmatched in this game. In what world is Kentucky not winning this game by 20? Kentucky has everything it can make to go to a deep national championship run, provided that they don't actually sit here and end up playing a team like provided that they don't end up going in here and playing a team like Tennessee, who has actually beat them twice this year. Kentucky has Oscar Tshiebwe inside. How is St. Mary's going to stop that? He's probably the national player of the year. And what I love about Kentucky is they're starting to get hot from 3. John Calipari's teams that have made the Final Four, that have done very well in the tournament, ended up getting better from 3 as the year went on. They always rebound. They're top 4 in offensive rebound. They're solid on defense. They're elite on offense. And now in conference, the Wildcats are shooting 36.9% from beyond the arc. St. Peter's, great job getting to this tournament. Casey and Defo inside, tremendous defensive force. Oscar Tshiebwe gets him in foul trouble early, and the Wildcats pull away. See you later on that game. Next up, game 11, St. Mary's minus 2.5 versus number 12, Indiana. I guess I've tipped my hand here, folks. 7:20 tip, game 11 today. Absolutely love the Hoosiers. The play-in game winner always gets hot, whether it's the 11 seed or the 12 seed. One of these teams that always gets hot usually advances. Ever since 2011, where VCU was the first play-in team to win and they made the Final Four, every team has advanced at least one more round except for 2019, in which case Gonzaga was really close and actually lost by 2 points in that game. So I am betting on the playing game getting hot. I love Indiana. They have an NBA coach in Mike Woodson. They have the best player on the floor in Trace Jackson Davis. No, Matthias Tass is not stopping Trace Jackson Davis. They can make some shots from the outside. They're going to defend St. Mary's. Again, they match up well with Gonzaga, but it had done nothing to impress me. They're going to try to slow the game down. Tommy Kuzi's been up and down this year. He's back in the starting lineup for St. Mary's. Absolutely love Indiana plus 2.5. If you can get it at 3, that'd be even better. Play in game, bank on it. One of them's getting hot. I'm taking a chance it's going to be Indiana today. Make sure to put your questions in the chat here. We got someone who loves Indiana over St. Mary's. Totally agree with you there. Make sure to put those questions in if you have them. Let's see. Out of all the picks today, Curtis Perry question, what's your absolute favorite bet of the day, or what are your top 3 picks? I will get back to that, Curtis, at the end when we get through all the games here, and I will give them to you. But you can probably tell by the way I'm talking which ones they're going to be. Game 12, 7:27 p.m. Number 8, San Diego State minus 2 versus number 9, Creighton. Look, I went to the Big East tournament. My 2 best friends, we had a great time. Got to watch these games. I'm going to tell you right now, Creighton really has performed well, but they have no point guard. They ended up trying to battle in the Big East tournament, and I give them credit for what they did without their starting point guard, who is out due to injury. They've done all of this without Ryan Nembhard, scintillating freshman. This is the best recruiting class in Creighton history, which is why coming into this year, they were one of the most inexperienced teams, 309 per Ken Palm on experience. They have some great players. Arthur Kaluma is an absolute pro, but I don't like that they had to move Trey Alexander to point guard. In the Big East, Providence and Villanova are not the type of teams that are going to get up and pressure you, so they were able to be comfortable and be very, very competitive, beating Providence big and almost beating Villanova. Bad matchup here coming against San Diego State. San Diego State, number 2 in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency. They're top 20 in forcing turnovers. They defend inside the arc. Matt Bradley has been fantastic. The Cal transfer has been scoring at will. They have played very well in the Mountain West. They have been a problem all year long. They beat St. Mary's, the aforementioned St. Mary's, by 10 on a neutral court earlier in the year. The defense is going to disrupt Creighton. They have not seen defense like this, getting up and defending. I don't like Alexander as point guard. I do like Brian Dutcher. I like the San Diego State team. Feel very strongly here. San Diego State minus 2 beating Creighton. 4 games left. Game 13, 9:20. Arkansas minus 5 versus number 13, Vermont. Look, I loved Arkansas coming into this bracket until I saw the team they were playing. Arkansas this year, Eric Musselman, an amazing job for the Razorbacks, and they were dangerous last year as well. Problem is this year, they're only shooting 30.7% from three-point range. That's how you're going to beat the Catamounts. Vermont, number 1 in the country in defensive rebounding, top 20 at defending inside the arc. They've been blowing teams out and been super efficient on the inside. They have won 21 of 22 games, the Catamounts, this year. And you're going to say, oh, that's not impressive. It's very impressive, especially with a senior team and a great head coach like John Becker. We all remember the Vermont upset from 2005. TJ Sorrentine, the Dagger, Taylor Coppenrath beating Syracuse. Now what you're going to have, they've come close, almost beating Florida State as an underseeded team when they were 13, almost beating Purdue. Now they're facing Arkansas. The only loss they had, the Catamounts, ever since December 7th, was when they lost to Hartford on the road without 2-time, this year and last, America East Player of the Year, Ryan Davis. I love this matchup for Vermont. Maple syrup all across the land. Green in honor of St. Patrick's Day. Taking the Catamounts plus 5 here. It was 6.5 and it's dropped against Arkansas. I just think that Vermont is going to be able to control pace, and I just don't like that Arkansas is very sketchy from 3. They're not going to turn over Vermont, and Vermont is going to keep them to 1 and done, getting them very, very frustrated. Game 14, 9:40 p.m. Murray State now minus 2 versus number 10, San Francisco. I love Murray State. You're going to hear people complain about Murray State, and they're going to say, look, they don't play anyone this year. Sure, they've been 30-2, but they actually haven't played any great teams. My comeback to that is going to be San Francisco has not been great at defending the interior, and Yoan Masowski is now out for them, 10 points per game, one of their starting forwards, which makes a big void in the middle for Murray State's KJ Williams, who's a beast inside, rebounding, double-double machine. This Murray State team plays fast. They defend the three-pointer. They're shooting 34% from three-point range, and they don't turn the ball over. Great on the boards, Murray State. If you like San Francisco, you believe that they're going to have a great shooting night, which is what they're going to need with Boye and Shabazz. I don't think it's coming against Murray State. I think they get up too much, and I'm not impressed with San Francisco's defense on the interior now without Masowski. So I really like Murray State tonight to advance in what should be a great matchup with Kentucky. Make sure to get those questions in the chat if you have any coming in here. Chances for Montana State. Question here about Montana State. We will get into Montana State tomorrow. We'll be back at 11 o'clock, so make sure you ask that then. I feel like UAB isn't getting any respect. Everyone's picking Houston, just overlooking a very solid UAB team highlight. You are correct. Peanut butter and jelly. Jordan Walker is going to be fantastic for UAB. Love that game. We will get more into that one tomorrow. UCLA, game 15, minus 13.5 versus number 13, Akron. I'm taking the Bruins. I think they get it right. This is a veteran team. They've suffered with injuries this year. Mick Cronin is a great defensive coach, and I don't like picking upsets when you have a solid defensive team, a la a Tennessee, a la San Diego State, UCLA. They have experience. Akron is not the MAC team that I really would have thought would have caused problems here. Akron had a fantastic year coming out of the MAC with John Grossi, 14-6 overall. But like a Toledo team, I thought would have been more dangerous. In the non-conference for the Zips, lost to Fordham by 20 on a neutral, lost to Appalachian State. Just don't think the Zips are the elite team that they need to beat a UCLA team that's looking to go back to the Final Four with most of their team intact. So we're going to take UCLA and lay the points. And the final game, the Kansas Jayhawks. We're living in a world where the Kansas Jayhawks are completely undervalued. It's insane. Minus 21.5 versus number 16 Texas Southern. Definitely laying the points here with the Jayhawks, like I said. Bill Self, when he won that title against Memphis, he wiped his brow because he was so relieved. There's a chance that Bill Self gets another one here. Just one of the best coaches in the history of college basketball. Ochai Agbaji should get whatever he wants. I like that Texas Southern won their initial game, but I think Kansas moves forward and covers the spread. All right, and let's see if we get any more questions, and then we will move on. Remember that you got to set your bets, not just your bracket. So make sure here, guys, you get your brackets in, and then make sure to come back and look for advice on the bets. We will look at the games tomorrow on Friday as well. Out of all the picks, going back to the question here that we got from Curtis Perry, which are my three favorite? Here we go. You want to ask my three favorite? I love Boise State getting points against Memphis. I think Boise State's not getting enough love because of West Coast bias, and Memphis is the sexy team here. Love Boise State. Second pick I like, Baylor is absolutely covering that spread against Norfolk State. They're going to win by 25, 30 points. Don't think Norfolk State keeps that game close. And my third one, I'll give a tie here. I like San Diego State against Creighton. I think Creighton is just outmatched. They're a young team. They will be back. I look forward to watching them next year. I think they're outmatched against this defense against San Diego State. And again, St. Mary's, most overseeded team in the tournament. Give me the Hoosiers getting 2.5 against the Gales. All right, guys, thank you very much. We'll be back tomorrow at 11. It's the best time of year, March Madness. Enjoy the games here. 16 games today. Enjoy. Let's go win some money. For Betting Pros,